In this video, we are sharing some really useful tips on how you make sure your team is continuously improving. We are going to dive into how to run retrospectives. Although retrospectives is a well-known method for improving teams, we are going to make sure we do it right and get the most out of it. In essence, it's a workshop where your team share ideas, give feedback, and create actions for improvement. This is one of the reasons why retrospectives are so great. It gives everyone regularly an opportunity to contribute to improve together. In this video, I want to go through a standard, typical retrospective. We will focus on how we run a basic retro and making sure it contributes to improving our team. There is a lot of different activities we could choose from and go through in a session like this, and over time, I do recommend mixing things up. If this, for example, is the first time some of the members meet each other, we can do an introduction or some kind of warm-up step before the actual retrospective. The goal of warm-up activities is often to loosen up the atmosphere and to create a safe space to share ideas. Many facilitators also focus on having fun, and although that can be really helpful, it is not the most important thing in a retrospective. We can talk about different ways of mixing up our session in a future video. For this one, let's go through these typical steps. The first step of a good retrospective is to go through any previous actions the team has agreed upon. The most important thing about methods like retrospectives and improvement in general is to actually follow up on our improvement ideas. I am going to make some demonstrations on how to do this using Evetro. Evetro is a tool for running continuous improvement activities such as retrospectives and other feedback sessions. The tool has a lot of useful features, which makes it easier for us to run and customize our session. Make sure to check it out. What you see here are some specific actions my team agreed to try in order to improve ourselves. In this example, you can see that we have followed up on one of the actions. We are actually making progress and should be happy about that. We did not complete the first one, so we are moving it to the next action list. For the next action, which is about training and developing our skills, we may want to discuss if we have actually completed it. I notice that the action may be a bit vague, and as a facilitator, I may want to discuss this with the team. At the end, we agreed that we are done with this one for now and create a new action in the future if we still need to get better at this. It is important to try to create actions that are as specific and easy to follow up on as possible. By following up on our actions like this, we make sure we remind ourselves on what we should improve upon. This is very important to actually gain value out of our sessions. Let's move on to the next step. The next step is all about reflections. Thinking about your experience working in the team and giving feedback to the others. Here you see a really typical activity in a retrospective. The goal here is to reflect upon what went well, what went less well, and then we have an open category for ideas. We start by individually reflecting on these categories. If you are running this online and apart from each other, I recommend you turn off your microphone and camera so you get some peace and quiet to think. In Evetro, you can see that each person only sees their own notes by default. This is great because it helps us to avoid being affected by what the others are writing, so you can focus on your own experience. If I want to add one of my reflections here, I simply click on one of these and write whatever is on my mind. It is equally important to give positive feedback as sharing problems. As a facilitator, I normally check in with everyone after 5 to 10 minutes to see if people need more time to reflect or are ready to move on. Typically, there are some people that need a bit more time, so I check in after some more minutes again. When everyone has noted their most urgent thoughts that came to mind, we move on to sharing these notes with each other. I do this by doing a tour around the table. In Evetro, I simply click on the other participants to see their notes and let them share in turn. You should let each participant share all their insights and notes at once, rather than doing one category at the time. If you want, you could also time box this, but personally, I don't like to stress my participants too much. At this point, we have created a shared understanding of the challenges, positive experiences, and new ideas in the team. Let's move on to the next step. Here you can see all the notes we have gathered so far, but some of these notes could be about the same topic, and we don't always have the time to go through them all. To handle this, we can group notes by moving them together and create group names. Next, we could do a voting session to see which of these groups is the most important for the team to start a discussion on. Here we could do something called dot voting, where we let each participant have a number of votes each and spread them out as they like. If one note, for example, is particularly interesting to them, they could use all of their votes in that single note. This is a good exercise to timebox since everyone have been through these notes once already and most likely remember what is important to them. I usually let people have 2 minutes to vote. When everyone has voted, it is really easy to see what is important for the team. For someone who coaches teams, this is really useful information. It gives a good overview during the session, or if we want to look at this later on. From this point, we should begin with the main part of a retrospective, discussing our top voted reflections. As a facilitator, I like to either dive deeper into the problem if we need that, or look for alternative paths for a solution. We might not solve the entire problem, but we are looking for the best way to make progress. Under the discussion, keep an eye on the participants. Someone might completely take over the discussion and others may be silent and should be more included in the discussion. By asking other members of the team what they think about the topic, we can shift the focus on more silent members and try to include everyone. It is our job to make sure that everyone feel like this is a safe and open space to share their thoughts, and we give room for everyone to be included regardless of their personality type. We keep discussing and creating actions until it's 5 to 10 minutes left of the session. We then move over to the last step, the action list, and go through what we agreed upon. This reminds people of which of the actions they are responsible for. At the end, I also like to ask my participants what the session was like and if there are anything we should change for the next retrospective. We can't focus on improving without also improving the retrospective itself.